Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about some maths exam skills and more importantly, how can we optimize both our time and our marks in a maths exam. So maths exams are a little bit different as to how you would answer any HISI or English exam. So the reason for that being it's a little bit harder to kind of split up the exam as you would for like the number of essays that you would write in an English exam or something like that. So because we have our maths exam split up into multiple choice and short answer, we're not going to spend the same amount of time in multiple choice and short answer because there's much less multiple choice questions than there are short answer questions in the HSC. So that being said, I know that a lot of students tend to rush through the multiple choice questions and get to those short answer questions as fast as they can. I definitely think that this is not a good idea and I wouldn't recommend that you do this. So we want to think about the multiple choice as being how can we optimize as many marks as we can. So don't rush through them, take your time. There can be some trickier multiple choice questions that do require you to do a little bit more thinking and working. Don't give up and just guess. Try and grab as many marks as you can in the multiple choice before getting to the short answer section. So when we do get to the short answer question, it's super important that you're not leaving any question blank. So the worst thing that you can do in a maths exam is go, okay, well, this question's too hard, and then just skip to the next question. You're actually doing yourself a disservice there, and you're missing out on a lot of marks that you can grab. So, for example, if you had a really tricky differentiation question and you weren't sure how to derive it, but you know that you have to use the product rule. If you simply just write down that your product rule is, so we say f dash of x is equal to vu dash plus uv dash, and you write down what your u is and what your v is. So u is what you're timesing it by, and then the v is the other variable there. So if you write that down, you're going to guarantee yourself at least 1 mark, and you're showing the marker that you were on the right track. You just didn't know how to differentiate something as complicated as that. So always write down something there. You can even write down any core bits of information. So for example, if you have a tricky z-score or continuous random variable question, if you write down the z-score, if you write down what the mean is, what the standard deviation is, 9 times out of 10 you'll have to find the z-score for it. If you write it down, you're going to be able to grab some marks there. So it's always better to write something rather than nothing in your maths exam. So we never want to leave a question blank. We also want to make sure that we're showing or working. So super important, especially with those calculus sketching questions. You need to be proving everything. You can't take anything as granted. So super important that you show all your working out, lay out your steps really nicely so that the marker can see everything quite clearly. Bring a highlighter into the exam, highlight some of that key information that you want to write down. If you are confused on like a multi-step question, so in your short answer question, imagine you've got parts A, B, C, sometimes maybe a part D. If you get stuck on part A, don't just skip to the next question and go, okay, well, B, C, D, I won't be able to do either. More often than not, B, C, and D, so those other parts, they're going to give you quite a hint to what part A is going to be. So, for example, if you have one of those reverse chain rule questions where you have to differentiate a function, and then they want you to integrate a function there. So the integration of the function should be some variation of what your differentiated function should be. So if you kind of use that as like a guideline of what your question should be looking like, definitely have a look at some hints that the other questions can give, because sometimes they can be quite nice in the way that they give you those questions. When we're also having a look at short answer questions as well. So yeah, writing down everything that we know. Don't leave a question blank. Don't worry too much. If you're spending too much time on a certain question, write down everything you know, and then you can kind of skip past it if you feel like you're wasting too much time on it. Just make sure that at the end you have some time to kind of revisit and come back to it at the end. But yeah, so those are some useful tips for a maths exam. Hopefully that helps with the lead up to the HSC very, very soon. And let me know if this helps.